welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. And it is going to be a great day. Today I am here with Jin Kim, and he is one of our previous clients who we've had some fun with, a journey. I mean, all the experiences are unique, and yet it's kind of nice, I think, for all of you, whoever's watching or listening, to hear the story from their perspective rather than constantly have me tell you the same thing again and again and again. So, welcome, Jin.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be great. Thank
you. And so let's start at the very beginning. What caused you to choose to work with the Decker team in the first place?
Just some background of what we've been going through prior to that. We knew that, well, at least I knew that the home we were living in was not the home that, you settle down in. And we have 3 kids, and our mother-in-law lives with us, and we're running out of space. And actually, that decision 2 years ago was really because we had our 3rd child, and things were getting tight. 3 kids sharing one room, and we were already in the process of finding, an agent and finding a new place, and we talked with, maybe another agent or two, and you know what it is? It's something didn't sit right. Relationship. It's all about relationship, I find, when you're working with someone so close and intimately in terms of all the monies, handlings of that. And so we just waited. We waited a bit, and we just had dinner with Lucy's sister.
And Lucy's your wife.
Sorry, yes, yeah? Lucy's my wife.
So we'll do a good job of attempting to let you all know who everybody is, because it's great for us to have a conversation, because I know them and they know me, and it's lots of fun. And yet to let you in on the inside, we'll just say that Lucy is Jin's wife, and you guys were having dinner with her sister and husband.
And husband and her family, and they had gone through a very similar process as well at that time, and she said to us, why don't you give my agent a try, who in the midst of all the hustle and bustle in the winter time was able to sell for a really attractive price. They were able to sell it around the Christmas time, which to me sounds like a very odd time for anyone to move into a house.
Except that's what they had, because they had long committed to a home before we ever met, actually, right?
Exactly.
They had a custom home that they were having built, so the timeline was really far.
That's right.
And once we met, we had to work within that timeline.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were able to meet all their expectations, and they said, okay, well, you know what? I'll give you a shout. So I emailed you, and a little later that we talked on the phone a bit, and we had a time scheduled to meet at our house to just chit chat and see where those things go, and that's really where we started off our story.
Yeah. I remember that day.
Yeah.
And with the kids running around and mom-in-law trying to take care of the kids, and
it was right around at dinner, that time.
It was. Or just at least there was stuff going on. It was a wild time, but I think it typically is when you've got lots of little ones running around, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that at my place when the grandchildren come over. It's crazy. Anyway, so it was a fun meeting, and you still had a fair bit of time on your hands.
We did. It was quite early. I wouldn't know, about 4 or 5 months before we were really ready to go. But we met, and we went through a lot of questions that we had. This was our first home to sell.
Right.
So obviously a lot of things, both Lucy and I have, complementary characteristics, and I would say Lucy's a lot more detail-oriented in certain aspects.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of questions for you.
She did.
Because we went through a list of things we're going to ask you, this. And then she came up with a dozen more, and it's great, because things that I never thought of. And you know what it was? It was that initial meeting for me that really helped solidify things between our working relationship.
Right.
When you could handle a lot of her questions and just be patient, and you listen to her, all of her concerns and my concerns, I felt like, this will be a good fit for us.
And it's been fun.
It's been very fun, yeah. And you continued to calm us down when I needed to be calmed down during that whole process. And really that's essentially, why we felt very comfortable with going with your team.
That's awesome. And so we met through friends. And so when was that first moment that you knew it was the right choice? Because I think you had shared with me earlier, and we've talked before, that you had, and I think you already shared with everybody here, that you had connected with someone else that had been in your home, that you had had a similar interview. I'm going to call it an interview because I think that's a fair thing to call it. It's we like to call them consultations, so that we can consult with our client, hear what the concerns are, hear what they want to do, strategize, figure out next steps, all that sort of stuff. And yet it is a bit of an interview. You're interview saying, is this a fit? And I'm interviewing thinking, are these clients a fit? Because it is a relationship that gets pretty intense, and you want it to be fun and beneficial. And if it's not fun and beneficial, then I'll stay home and hang out with Ken. Well, yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would. And you would stay home and hang out with Lucy, right? And the kids. So it's neat when it's beneficial and enjoyable and fun both ways. And so that's obviously a bit of the interview process. So when you were originally doing that, you went through that process with someone else and went, nice person, had lots to offer, and yet it just wasn't going to be what you knew you were looking for.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like I said, it was before, like you were able to handle all of our questions with confidence, and and I remember you asking, Jin, what do you want out of this meeting? I remember that. And I said, I want to feel like you know exactly what you're doing. And outside of that, when we closed off that meeting, you asked the question, have I met your expectations for this particular meeting? And I said, absolutely, you have. And I don't know how long you've been in the real estate business.
25 years.
25 years. So I felt like you've been through all the nooks and crannies of all the real estate process for a customer, and you felt you just really had confidence in a lot of your answers for me. And on top of that, you were able to kind of navigate through some of the difficult questions we've had. And really, it's that confidence. It's not just you. I think you've got a big team behind you, supporting you. And
I can't do it by myself.
I don't think you can replace a team of competent people just working together and gelling together. And just like you and your team gel together, you have to gel with my wife and I. Yeah,
and the kids.
And the kids. Yeah, and my kids love you. They're like,
I love them too.
Is the lady with the red hair coming back? And I thought that was so cute. And that moment was kind of that deciding point. And actually, we didn't contact you back for another few weeks.
Right.
I remember that, and the reason for that is Lucy and I like to mull things over, pray about it, see where it will go. And I think I never told you this, but we were looking around for other things that were in the aspect of moving, such as finding a mover, finding your lawyer to represent you as well. And it's just funny how when you just wait sometimes and listen, you realize things are happening in your life not because of coincidence, and it's just people around us who were like-minded. Like, I'm a Christ follower, and just people started giving us resources of people, and it turns out that they're also like-minded, they're followers of Christ, and I felt like, something's happening here. I don't know what. And I know that, Yetta, you share the same faith as I do, and I was like, that's just unreal. Like, 3 or 4 people around us were surrounding us to help us like a family, and that's really the thing that hit at home, saying, you know what, just feels great to have everyone on the team with similar belief systems, and it's just going to work out, and that's really and it has, yeah.
Which is the way we want it to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what was important? Like, what was the reason, I guess, if we don't mind sharing with everybody, that you wanted to sell your home? I mean, we talked about there just wasn't enough space, but by the time we actually started moving down this process, we knew where we wanted. You knew where you wanted to go, and it was a larger home, and you'd already committed to that.
Absolutely. We actually committed to a home in November of the before under 2013, and committing to a home that you're building, it's not very stressful. It's the selling of it that that makes this whole process, because you have to align dates and work out the numbers, and at the end of the day, it's a numbers game as well.
Right.
And we had a target, and that target was based on a last year assumption of I wanted to hit this price, or things meet together, and it was quite stressful for me. My wife's a little more easygoing in that way, but again, that's how
you
she
took
balances.
turns. Yeah.
We took turns, yeah. And so that sort of process of figuring out the game of when should we start selling, and so it was complicated for us, at least because we were first time sellers.
Right.
So it really we just needed a team that could navigate through this time for us. We couldn't do it alone. I know there's a lot of homes that we're selling that were also by owner, and that's we just want a group of professionals that will help us through this time in life.
And what I loved about you and Lucy both, as much as you you both enjoyed giving input on how you wanted the process to go, and I asked for it, and I welcome that. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. The whole team welcomes that. And yet you did want to be led. You wanted to strategize. You wanted to do the work together. And so you received counsel. Mm-hmm. You were great when I said, okay, well, first thing we got to do for the next 3 months, let's just focus on cleaning out a house. Mm-hmm. Let's just take the contents of 6 people that have really outgrown the space that they're in and make it look like you haven't outgrown it. Right. And you guys were awesome. You didn't say, are you kidding me? I don't want to do that. And can we sell a home where people aren't willing to do that? Of course we can. Mm-hmm. And yet it comes down to, what do we get for the home? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, what is the client net? And you're going to net more money if you're willing to go on that journey. Mm-hmm. And you guys were willing, you had the, I'd say capacity, even with the kids and mother-in-law living there, to do that as long as you had some time on your hands. So it was amazing that you started the process early.
Exactly. We started the process several months earlier, before we were ready to list list the house on the market, and we had you and the team come over and check out the house and kind of give us pointers. And actually, we started out with a pad of paper, I remember. Yeah. And I started, flipping the page, and there's a lot of things to do in our house. Of, been living there for 8 years, and it was a little daunting, honestly. I have to say, it was like, oh my goodness. Uh-huh. But Lucy, being the wonderful lady she is, wrote a schedule down. We posted it up for everybody to see, including my kids, who don't know how to read yet, but they got the sense. They sensed that we got to get something done. And each night, after the kids go down, we quietly started unraveling all the things in our house, and then repacking, getting it down into storage. And I didn't think we'd get it done, but we did. You did.
You did an amazing job.
Yeah.
So I really commend you and Lucy for being willing to work with us. Because if you hadn't done that part, the rest of the story, which turned out really good, wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, that's right.
It wouldn't have happened the way it did. Yeah. So that was really cool to watch how we did become a team. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. If you're just joining us now on the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team, you'll have noticed that I'm sitting here with Jin, and we've been having an intense conversation about his journey of what it was like to have us help him sell his home this year, and the benefits and sort of what was important to him through the whole process. So if you're just joining us now, then you might want to go back and watch the other half, and if not, then stay with us, and hopefully you'll get some insights that may even help you when you're in the process of buying or selling a home, whether it's an investment property or whether it's your first home. For Jin, it was his first home that he'd ever had to sell. So it was really important that we could come alongside and strategize. I think that's the biggest thing I heard you say, that was really important to you guys. What needs maybe did you have that we haven't already addressed that we helped you fulfill?
Our first and foremost goal of selling the house, we just really needed to hit a price, and we made that known. We talked back and forth, saying, you know what, I think this is a good price for the house
to launch it in the market.
To launch it, and that was obviously one of our key factors in this whole process. And if I could share a little bit of how that went, the the day after, I remember we were driving off and you
For
called
yet another showing.
for a showing.
Yeah, for a showing.
And you essentially called us that morning, just after the showing, that this client had an offer at hand, and I was shaking. I was driving, and then I kind of veered off and started parking my car. My kids were like, "What's going on, Daddy?" And I said, "It's a very important call. Please be quiet." And they were.
Which is amazing in itself.
And you said, there's this offer, and we had strategized earlier, saying that, we're not going to be phased by an offer on a Sunday. There was a
24, like we wanted at least 24 hours to consider any
Exactly.
offers that came in, and
right.
we wouldn't be dealing with it on a Sunday, so that
Sunday.
you guys could have a day to yourself. And also, from a part of the strategy is that if we slow it down a little bit, it gives us an opportunity for that first weekend to get people into your home
Exactly.
and expose it to the marketplace before we start receiving the very first thing. Sometimes the first offer is the best offer, and so we don't want to be coy about that. And yet, sometimes that very first weekend, there will be more than one offer.
That's right.
And there will be a fair bit of interest because it's the new kid on the block. You all want to get to know the new kid in school. 3 weeks later, they're the old kid and they don't have the same appeal anymore. Yeah. And it's the same thing with houses. And so we really wanted to make sure that we had an amazing opportunity to launch it and let the eyes of those people that had been waiting for something just like this to come in the market, right? Because when something new comes in, everybody that's been there for a while looking at property but haven't quite found the right one yet, they want to come see the new kid.
That's right, yeah.
On the block. And so we wanted to make sure that the other showings that were happening that weekend had an opportunity to happen. Right.
And actually, if it were up to me, being the safe, low risk kind of a guy, I would have said, let's take the offer. This stress is out of my way. And we talked about it over the phone. And
I think Lucy was pretty good because she remembered the conversation we'd had at your house, because we said this could happen.
Yeah.
We could get somebody that doesn't want to honor our request of giving us till Monday.
Exactly.
And if it does, what are we going to do? And Lucy said, well, we're going to wait.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, great. So when I made that phone call, I thought, I wonder if we're going to wait.
That's
right. Because if we don't wait, it's not up to me, right? I can only coach and guide. Yeah. And now ultimately, you guys have to make the decision. So at first I thought you were going to say, well, we're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then Lucy was the one that said.
She said basically, we've already had a plan. We've hired your team as professionals, have been doing this for 25 years for a reason. Let's stick with the plan that we had already agreed with, and exactly that's what we did.
Right.
And lo and behold, I kept getting calls while I was out, and they were saying, I've got another showing for you. I've got another showing for you. Are you out? And I was like, you know what? Do as many showings as you want, because we're out the entire Saturday.
And you ended up being gone for Sunday too.
Yeah,
you were just kicked out of your house, my friend.
It just worked out, and it was a great timing for us that that we were able to show the house when it was just convenient. And so what happened was at the end of the day, we had 4 offers on the table.
Well, we had the threat of several offers, and we knew that there was more interest.
Yes.
And we had one that we had to deal with in a very timely fashion on the Monday morning.
That's right.
And it had become better than its original, so it had improved over the course of there being more than one offer.
That's right.
And then we were very much down to a timeline, a time crunch.
That's right.
And yet, we didn't want to make a rash decision to find out later that we should have held off. So we were playing this every few minutes on the phone.
It was a bit nerve-wracking, and I remember you're texting me, you know what, there's things that you can control, things that you cannot. It's all up to him at this point. Just wait it out. Let's do this. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's just wait. And at the end of the day, we had an offer that was just incredible, beyond our expectations, and you
had quite a few very good offers,
amazing offers, and
there was
they were
nothing
all acceptable
bad
to us.
Yeah, they were all good.
And at the end, the last one was just, okay, this just blows our mind. I couldn't ask for more than this, and you helped us navigate through and calmed my nerves, and we went through it.
You did well.
Yeah.
You did really well. And I think Lucy's that calming force in the background too, because not much phases her.
Yeah.
She's kind of using her checklist and making sure that we're doing it. It was as much concern, I think, for Lucy to do it right.
Yeah.
Right? So because she had that as a focus, let's do this thing the way we planned, let's do it right, it created a little bit of calmness, which otherwise could have been pretty intense.
Yeah. Right? And that's why we're together.
And that's a good thing. Yeah. So we got that all done, and you got the money that you'd actually hoped to get the year earlier. We were actually able to accomplish that in a market that was a little bit softer. Yep. And mostly because of how well you cared for your home and because you stuck with the plan.
We stuck with the plan. We stuck with the plan. That's really the bottom line. We stuck with the plan. Even if it was nerve-wracking, we trusted the team that they were doing, they're working with us, had our best interests. This experience was so amazing that, when in moments in life when things like this happen, you kind of need to write it down. And Lucy and I do that often, and we had moments in our lives as we got married and we started realizing a lot of things in our lives. It's not coincidence, and this is one of them, Yetta.
That's awesome. And I'd love to be part of those stories.
Yeah, and you're part of our story here, and we're in the process of getting that written down. So, when your kids grow up and they know a little bit more about what's happened, and you can say, here, read it. This is what happened. Isn't this amazing what God has done in our lives through, various people that just are like-minded, and, it's just leave it up to God, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was a neat journey, and it continues.
It does.
And so the house that you are going to move into has had a little delay in closing, and yet that's all accommodated for too.
Yep.
And you're having a bit of an adventure. We
are. We're in a smaller home for a little bit, but I'm not really complaining. It's all of this sequence of things that happened it's just amazing, and I couldn't have written this.
No, because if you had a firm closing date that you couldn't adjust, where would you have gone?
Exactly.
And this way we've been able to just relax.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal that the builder's delayed, which you know can happen.
Yep.
And yet at some point you want to make sure that you've got your money out of the house you're in.
That's right.
If you need it, right? I mean, some people have enough that maybe they don't have to do that. But for many people, they'll need the money from the home they're selling to buy the one that they're moving into. And so we want to make sure those dates don't go past each other.
No, you don't want that to happen.
Right, and that was certainly something you needed to make sure it didn't happen.
That's right. Yeah.
And it worked out
quite
really well. So that's amazing. What would you say were the most significant benefits of having a team with different areas of expertise, the team members?
You could only do so much in your day, and I know you helped us quite a bit in terms of helping us, declutter and a little bit, but we also acknowledge that, you got to also, it's an online world. You got to show this online as well. And most people, I think, like to sit at their desk and click on MLS or whatever website. Yeah. And it was important for us to get the right shots, the right, advertising and the media that you're connected to. And you've got a team that knows all that, right? And is able to, angle those shots that make the house.
Some of the shots were amazing, weren't they?
They were amazing.
I loved them. I couldn't have done it.
I was like, is that my house? Like, you get that feeling where this is an amazing house that we live in.
Right.
And that's what, and it is an amazing house, and
it
that's
is.
exactly what we portrayed on the web.
Right.
And things like, and you've got your husband Ken.
Yeah.
I actually heard his voice over the phone, so I'm like, he helps out quite a bit in this journey, and I got to meet him recently. So just having that reassurance that you've got people dedicated to these special things. It's not just a one-person show. It's really a team effort here, and that's really the advantage.
It makes it easier.
Well, yeah, it makes it easier, and things that you don't know of is taken care of.
Right, which is the plan.
Yeah.
Like my focus with the rest of the team has always been, what are going to be the client's latent need? What are the needs that are going to come up that they don't even know they have or they're going to have. Let's address those needs in advance. And that way we can tell them we've done it, that's okay, but then it never becomes an issue.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's kind of fun. And as a solo person, there's no way I could pull that off.
That's correct. I don't know how any team could pull anything off without their specialized people. We had to clean up, fix some stuff around the house as well. I know you had a lot of contacts and support for that. And we did call one person, but he said, you know, you can do this, but this house is amazing. You don't have to. And that was valuable to us because we didn't have to spend all that money on something that wasn't going to be returned. And it was not a big deal for us to fix it, but at the end of the day, for us, a professional eye on all these special things will say that's not that bad. It's quite in good condition. You don't worry about that. And that was really helpful for me, as you know, when there's so much things you have to spend on, and just to save that little bit was.
That's helpful.
It's helpful.
It's nice to have, so it's a team, not only just the people that are with us day to day, but the team is much larger than that, right?
Yes,
we've got lawyers on the team, we've got home inspectors, contractors. I think we've got a couple hundred on our list. If you want to be part of our team, you know how to reach us, right? 613-860-4663, and we can talk about you being part of the team. Yeah, there's always opportunity. So overall, how would you rate your experience on a scale of 1 low, 10 high?
Well, I'm realist. I'm very pragmatic.
And I love that.
And I think a team that says we're perfect and we make no mistakes is not a perfect team. And I know that we had some hiccups, right?
Yeah,
we had a little bit of hiccups, but you corrected it. It was like literally at 10 p.m. and I texted you, something's wrong on the listing. I didn't like it.
Right.
You called me back and we went through everything. We fixed it. And I know that at the bigger scheme of things, you knew that it probably didn't matter that much, but it mattered to me and Lucy. And you said, you know what, that's important to you. We're going to fix that. So you called me at 10 and we just went through it and we fixed it. And it just calmed my heart, right? And things like that happened. And you know, for that, to me, is very valuable. That's a 10 to me. Even if there are hiccups, that's a 10.
Right, and there are hiccups, and we don't pretend to be perfect. It doesn't work that way. Any parting words that you want to leave our listeners with? What's one thought?
Well, the overall theme for me is calm down, hire a professional that's done this for years and years, and trust them, really. It's trust their feedback and incorporate that into your decision making, because you've hired this professional who's done this in day out, and that to me is the biggest theme of all of this process that we've gone with you and your team.
Thank you. So thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate. It has been a pleasure to have you join us and to have Jin join us today. If you have any comments or you want to chat with Jin, you know how to get to him. Just get a hold of me, info@deckerteam.com or 613-860-4663. Thank you very much, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.